My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content. If you are a self-employed person, chances are you've seen the ups and the downs of business, and every once in a while, things happen that just give you a massive kick in the gut. And today's special guest, Derrick Campbell, is an entrepreneur and a real estate entrepreneur who at the beginning of COVID, like many of us, found that his primary business got very, very negatively affected by the whole pandemic situation. But instead of just kind of crying in a soup, he took massive action and refocused on real estate investing. And he and his wife had done an amazing job and created a pretty impressive portfolio in a very short period of time. So Derrick, zooming in from beautiful Vancouver Island, British Columbia, Derrick Campbell, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, my friend. Well, tell us a little bit about the Derrick Campbell story. You know, business, you've been in business for yourself for a long time. You've been poking around with real estate for quite some time and really kind of kicked it in a few years ago. Tell us a little bit about the backstory.
Sure. So I'm a teacher by profession. I have a master's in education. I left education due to some political stuff. It just sort of, I saw a lot of these kinds of things that taken place a long time ago and decided it was time to exit. Started my first business when I was 16 with my mother. We got into a restaurant together. Then a few years later, I purchased a convenience store, which I ran for a while. And I really loved business. It was just a lot of fun. I enjoyed, like you said, the ups and downs, but it was exciting. There was a lot to it. And so when I was in my early 20s, I started complaining about the issue of scaling my business. I'd had a couple of different business ventures, but the issue of scaling really came. And so I knew that there was a challenge to how much money I could make and that sort of thing, because ultimately staffing was a problem even back then.
Which business was that? The convenience store business, or what business was that at that time?
Yeah, I had two actually. Still was in the restaurant business, and the convenience store. And we'd actually purchased or started a residential and commercial cleaning business as well. And I was looking
staff dependent.
Exactly. Very much so. Yeah. And we were looking to grow, and I wanted to build a national company. I didn't just want to be, I've always kind of done things, as much as I possibly could. I mean, I never saw the value in, living a comfortable life. I just always saw that, you just do it until it just can't be done anymore. And that's sort of just my nature, I guess. And so I was talking to a customer of mine in my convenience store who happened to be a realtor. And I was whining or griping about something. And he said, well, have you considered real estate? And we didn't own the building where the restaurant was, but we did in the convenience store.
Okay.
And so I said, well, I don't really know what you mean by real estate. And so he gave me a book called No Money Down for the 90s by Robert G. Allen.
I think I still got that one somewhere.
I still do, man. I still have it. And I read it in one day, and I called him up at 7:00 the next morning, and I said, does this really work? And he says, yeah, it does. I said, okay, prove it to me. And then in the next 90 days, we closed on a duplex, a triplex, and a single family house. And I didn't make a heck of a lot of money on it, but what really excited me was the deal. I loved the art of the deal. And that sort of became a lot of fun. And so in my early 20s, from about 22 to 27, I scaled up to 84 doors.
Wow.
And this was sort of at the time when sort of where we're coming to again now, where interest rates were, like Tony Soprano type of rates in the 20s and that sort of stuff. And so there was a lot of vendor take back. And so I saw tremendous opportunities with with a lot of what he was talking about in the No Money Down book,
Right.
with creative financing and things like that. And then when interest rates dropped, I had no idea what to do. Like I was like, what's my play, right? I had
Yeah.
nothing, And so honestly, I left real estate by the roadside and I just carried on in businesses. And that was sort of what I did right up until COVID. And my wife and I had been doing really well. And then COVID just knocked us out. Like literally we went from making a significant amount of money to almost nothing.
Yeah.
And that just scared
what
me.
kind of businesses were you running when COVID hit? Were you still doing the restaurant and stuff? Yeah.
No, we'd sold those. We were just in the service industry, so we were doing residential and commercial cleaning.
Got it.
And then my wife is an accountant, but also she is an immigration consultant. And so everything just really just ground to a halt, right? Because most of our customers were around on the Vancouver Island area. They were all in the service sector, right?
Right.
So they just, everything shut down. And I mean, in my arrogance, I'd never considered that as a possibility because, for so many years, it was a recession-proof business, right?
Well,
I mean,
we haven't lived through very many pandemics like this, Derrick.
exactly,
So yeah, it was new for everybody, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So okay, so you got the crap kicked out of you with the business, like all of your clients and everybody, and
yeah,
you've been making really good money. And it sounds like you're probably pretty smart, and you put some away. So you guys kind of licked your wounds for a little while, took it easy, and then what kind of sparked you to get back focused on real estate?
honestly, I was looking at what options were still available. Where was something still working? What part of the sector in the economy was still alive? And there was construction, which I knew zero about. And then there was real estate. And I was looking through the paper one day, just completely offhandedly, and there was a people that had 10 single family homes they were looking to sell as a portfolio in Regina, Saskatchewan. And because we'd gone from working 7 days a week to working almost zero, I said to my wife, I said, guess what? We're packing up the car and we're going to Regina, Saskatchewan.
Hopefully not in January.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's what we did. And we looked at all these houses and we actually decided not to buy them. But my sister lives in Calgary. And so on our way back, I was just looking through, the real estate guide. Yeah. And I came across a townhouse that was pretty close to where my sister was. I called up the realtor. As luck would have it, the wrong realtor showed up. She showed me the place, and we didn't make a deal on that, but she called me about 5 days later and she said, I'm really sorry, we can't make a deal on this one, but I happen to have an 8-plex where the seller is willing to carry the financing. Would you be interested in that?
Right, and back into your old wheelhouse, huh?
I'm like, duh, hello. A single townhouse versus an 8-plex, it's a no-brainer, right? Yeah. So we closed the deal on the 8-plex, and it reinvigorated something and in me that I hadn't had in a long time. And so that was really where it started, Dave, was right there. And then I put the wheels to the ground and just went.
So that was 2020.
Yeah.
And now we're recording this October 2023. What does the portfolio look like at this point, Derrick? Since you restarted, you got reinvigorated with real estate.
Yep. So we have 43 doors right now, and we just closed on a 16-unit building that we'll take possession of in probably mid-November to December. So it'll be like 60 rounds, right around 60 units.
So these are all out, most of them are outside of British Columbia, the province that you live in, outside of Vancouver Island, because
Correct.
prices are still pretty crazy around there. So where are most of your properties? Where are most of these? And are they small multifamilies or what kind of mix is it?
Yep, all small multifamily. The largest we have is 60, will be 16 doors. And yeah, they're in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta. Those are
Very
where
nice.
yeah.
All right. So when you had the portfolio back in, when would that have been? Would that have been the original
Ooh,
portfolio of 80 some doors? What years was that, give or take?
90,
Yeah, in the 90s.
90, 91, 91, 92, maybe somewhere
Yeah.
there.
All right. So that's a huge gap. Like you
You bet.
almost took 30 years off and then got back into it.
Yep.
What have you found to be the same, and what, if anything, have you found to be different?
Yep. I would say I'll speak to the biggest difference first, Dave, and where you and I are engaging in that process right now, and it is the opportunity to meet people in various levels in various cities and provinces, and to just be able to collaborate with them and to get information and just to network together. One of the things that really hindered me, Dave, back in the day, was my lack of knowledge and information about where to go for alternative financing. I'm pretty simple in a lot of ways. And to be honest, the only book I really read at the time was No Money Down for the 90s. And the only strategy I really understood was vendor take back, seller financing, etc. And so the idea of, DSCR loans and CMHC, and I didn't know any of that stuff, and that was before the days of mortgage brokers. So you had to go to banks, right? Individual banks and credit unions to be able to get financing. And I was so naive and so green about it. And so just the access to people on various platforms that have such tremendous depth and breadth of knowledge and skills. I mean, I've obtained a PhD in a relatively short period of time just by speaking and networking with great people, and it's so valuable, really. Like, I mean, you know better than I, but I can pick up a phone and I can get in contact with some people in 10 or 15 minutes and learn things that 20 years ago would have taken me, and if I could have gotten it, it would have taken me a lot longer to get, right?
Yeah.
So that I
No,
would say,
that makes sense. Now, I'm curious, logistically,
yep.
how are you managing your portfolio across 3 provinces, hundreds, if not thousands of kilometers away from where you live?
Yeah. So in some cases we have on-site caretakers, which I find tremendously valuable, and actually, funny enough, insurance brokers like them too because they live right there. And then if we don't have that, then we have just a property management team that manages it, sort of as an overall portfolio. And so
Very cool.
that's how we've
So
done it.
you lucked out with that first eightplex, getting owner financing on that. It
Man,
sounds to me like you've clued into other options, other ways of purchasing properties. Are you starting to use your own capital, raise capital for down payments? What are you doing these days to expand the portfolio?
yeah, once we got past, so that original eightplex is a funny story. That eightplex was actually a townhouse complex that was stratified. So the individual, units could all be sold off as condos, right? So when we bought the place, it was making about 9,700 bucks a month. We're now just under 16,000. I just refinanced it. It appraised for $2.5 million. We had almost $1 million lift in that property in 3 years. Isn't that crazy?
Isn't that a lot better than managing teams of people and cleaning offices and stuff like that?
Oh,
Maybe you're still doing that. I don't know, but I mean, my God, how long it takes to
Oh
create
yeah,
that kind of wealth working for yourself versus real
that's
estate.
exactly it. That's exactly it.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
So what I'm hearing is you've been able to refinance that, use some of that capital to buy some of the other
yeah.
properties. Is that correct? Yeah.
Some, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we have reached out to a few people. We do have some terrific partners that have helped us with some financing for the down payment on stuff. I have one partner that I've worked with. We bought a 12-plex together, and yeah, so I've got definitely started the process
Well, that's wonderful.
of doing some small capital raising.
So it sounds to me, Derrick, like, with your other businesses, scaling was a challenge, the
Yeah,
bottleneck being people a lot of
yeah,
the time.
yeah,
Pandemic thankfully kicked the crap out of those businesses,
yeah.
forced you to look somewhere else. Now things are going wonderfully, and
Yeah.
congratulations for that. That is so cool. Um, and now you're seeing how you can scale. So it sounds to me like you're a motivated kind of guy that wants to build stuff. So where do you see yourself going with your real estate investing business over the next year or so?
Yep. So our next goal is actually to get into the development side of it. We've looked at some people we've looked at partnering with some people on the project management side of things, and that's our next goal is to build to start building small. I really like small multifamily. We've looked at some bigger stuff.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of times there's high vacancy rate, a lot of damage, stuff like that. So my sort of niche, I think, is really, at least at this point, is probably the small multifamily,
So when you
something
say
under
small, what defines small for you?
probably like maybe 8 to 12 units, something like
Got it.
that.
Yeah.
Seems to work out nice. And and I think the turnover, just from the numbers that I've seen, seems like the turnover is lower on that end. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, so that's probably going to be our next play is we're going to look at the development side of stuff.
Very cool. Well, Derrick, I think you're in a really good position for that for many reasons. Number one, you've got a business head on your shoulders, right? You've been self-employed for a long time, so you understand business. Number two, you've got great breadth of real estate investing experience 30 years ago and now building it back up today, but doing it differently, doing it more, a little bit more along the traditional lines without having to focus 100% on creative deals.
Mhm.
And you've really, sounds like you've got the management side of things from afar dialed in quite nicely. So yeah, I think with your connections within the real estate community, but here's a bug I'll put in your ear just for you to think about when it comes to bringing on partners and raising capital for these development deals. It's not just the people that you meet in the real estate community, which they're great, but most of them are trying to do the same thing, which is find investors, raise capital, and do their own deals, right?
Yeah.
But the connections that you and your wife have made over the decades in business,
Mhm.
if you go to those people and show them what's possible through real estate, a lot of them would like to go on that ride with you and go along on that journey without having to do the work themselves. They just rather have you do that. So the bug I want to put in your ear is consider getting the word out to your past customers, clients, business associates, etc., about what you're up to with real estate. I think when we work with clients, we typically find there is millions of dollars of capital available to you within that sphere. So that's what I would suggest, my friend.
Yep.
Awesome. Derrick, this has been great. You guys have done an amazing thing in a short period of time. If people would like to connect with you and find out more, what should they do?
Reach out to me on Facebook. You can reach out to just my name, Derrick Campbell, and I also have a Facebook page called my wife and my wife's name is Dina. So our company is called D Squared Cash Flow Innovations. It's just a math thing. I guess my wife likes math, so
Gotta love it. Well, thanks very much for being on the show. It's been great.
thank you so much, Dave. I appreciate your time and everything. It's awesome.
All right, everybody, take care. Talk to you on the next episode. Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.